Hi everybody, I am your host Casey Wallace, and this is the program COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. On this program we are highlighting professionals, global workshop leaders in the field of everything from science to spirituality to metaphysical theories, even doctors and nutritionalists. And we are tackling this situation that's taking place on the Earthship right now from a far more positive perspective. Our desire is to assist all of you to see things maybe differently, to help you move into another focal point and direction as to what you can be doing, or in some cases maybe feel like you should be doing. There's all kinds of information out there, as we know that is the truth, but on this program we're going to take you into a little higher space. On today's show, our guest, Alexa Person, is an incredible speaker, teacher, facilitator, guidance coach, if you will, of getting all of us into a higher mind perspective, making connections with other aspects of our own selves, broader intelligences. She's had her own incredible experiences. She's a international bestseller author, and we're going to let her chat with you a little bit. She is extraordinary, and she assists students worldwide, really, in their transformational journey into their expansive selves. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation. And please intake this insight for yourself and see what you can do with it. Alexa, thanks so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. What an honor to be here with you today and with your audience. And I'm very, very happy that your audience is with us today, because if anyone is struggling with the catalyst that is surrounding us, they're in the right place, because it is understandable. How we deal with it depends on our mindset, our spirituality, where we are, what we're doing, and what information we take in and how we do that. So I'm happy today to be able to provide some sort of a mechanism, an insight, a tool in order to make some decisions on how we do that and how we move through that. And as you said, I am an alchemist, and I have been dealing with clients and people for over a decade, and listening to their stories and helping people integrate energies and move across thresholds and understand dimensions and frequencies and what have you. And right now, in this time, it is the most interesting time I have ever faced. And I'm sure you are facing the same thing. It is fascinating in many, many, many levels. And what I'm seeing and the conversations I'm having is that there are two groups now. Primarily, I was dealing with the spiritual groups, the ones who were reaching out, wanting to raise their frequency, and they have questions about, the unseen and how do I get there? And they're really, really eager and curious. But now I'm getting the other group. I call them the 3Ders, the ones who are really addicted to 3D. They love what they are. They're really not so much into moving into another higher density in space. But they're the ones too who are reaching out and having these experiences, we'll call them. The catalyst is affecting them. It's touching them. So the best way to describe this phenomenon is, let's go back to childhood. Let's go back to when mom and dad grounded you. They said, you know what, you've done something. I'm going to ground you now. I'm going to take all of your privileges away, and you've got to go to that room. You're going to just stay there for about a week. So what happens? You can't see your friends. You can't watch TV. You can't do your normal things. And when that happens, there's some other catalyst that starts rising. I call it the rattle and rise. All that stuff starts coming up. So if we put these two groups in that room, and if we replace mom and dad with Gaia, the planet, and we say, okay, Gaia's mom, and now we've got all these people in isolation, which is what the catalyst is, right? Now we can't go about our life. We can't do what we did before. And our traditionally 3D group, who is, well, very much happy with the current spiritual paradigms, social paradigms, financial, everything the way it is and was, they're having a different response than our spiritual group. But I ask you, is it really that different? So let's take a look at it. This rattle and rise in the 3D group, it's really uncomfortable, because what are they saying? Is the life that I knew, is that going to come back? What's happened to it? And that's causing a pain response, a fear response. And the other group is saying, well, wait a minute. I'm experiencing joy and incredible love. And how am I feeling about that? It's causing me guilt. And why do I feel guilty? Because of what's happening in the world around me. People are suffering. There's some sickness that I understand. There's some death that I understand. Financially, people are suffering. So the reflection of that 3D group is what they're experiencing as empaths or sensitive people who just love deeply. So here you have this group experiencing guilt and the other group experiencing fear. And all of it is tied together. These two groups are basically the same because they're tied together by fear of the unknown. And what really is that? The fear of the unknown goes under the bigger umbrella, a larger umbrella of grief. So both groups are really grieving the unknown of what's going to happen. What is going to happen in the future? So the whole gist of this is you can be incredibly spiritual and you can be incredibly tied to the 3D, existing 3D, and still be in a state of 3D grief, of not knowing where we're going and where this whole thing is ultimately going to lead. But we do need to know that yesterday is gone. And no matter where you feel, where you fall on this sliding scale, whether it's love, great love, or joy, or fear, we have to sit and own it. And we have to transmute everything that's rattling and rising because it's there for a purpose. Much like a mother and a father send you to your room, it's not out of punishment. It's out of love. It's asking you to sit in the stillness, because there is a stillness in the air. If you sit and you really listen with your heart and all of your senses, there is a timbre in the air, and it's a literal vortex. It's a literal time warp, and it's asking us to lean into this. But you can't use and utilize the energy unless we heal some of this wounding that we have, this 3D wounding, whether you're spiritual and you're evolved or you're just beginning to step into that space. We have to heal some of these aspects in 3D and transmute them in order to use all these new energies that are wrapping around the planet. And this is what Xpnsion is, basically. It's being asked, you are being asked to sit in the stillness and look at that which makes you uncomfortable, because right now people are medicating and they're doing it in a way that, well, to get rid of that discomfort, so we can be locked in a room but still be very distracted. You can be filling your time with television or food or exercise or busyness. Oh, that's my cat. That's Sushi. Stay, Sushi. I'm telling you, he's hilarious. When I start going up here, he sits and grounds me. He only shows up in moments like that. Sorry. Stay. He's not a dog. I tell him to stay. So anyway, people are actually trying to either fill that space with distraction or they're leaning into it. So that's my advice as far as that goes. But always remember that we're in this paradigm of dealing with our grief. And what is grief? It's 5 stages, right? The first one right now is denial. And we have to recognize that on some level, we are all needing to get rid of that fear. And denial is really fear. And the next stage, of course, would be anger, then depression, and then bargaining, and ultimately acceptance. And there is a third group. There is a third group who is here to support and accelerate all of the others. And they work outside of this this whole grief state. So that's the way I'm seeing it right now. And the integration is so important, because then that's going to get you to the other side of being able to work with the ascension process. So sitting in that stillness is really about getting silent and seeing where you are with it, because it doesn't really matter what's happening, the hows or the whys, like the news and all that. I'm so not concerned about how this started, where it started, what. It's not important. The most important thing is the self, because you, in healing yourself, you heal the world. It's the butterfly effect, as we all know. You know, the butterfly's wings flapping on one side of the world can create a tsunami on the other side. Well, that's you. Your healing of yourself can heal literally the world. And because we are in a unified field, it's important that we take responsibility for our own healing and our own ascension process. And that word in and of itself is such a huge word, and it has such a stigma, I think. And I wish there were a better word that we could use that isn't so big, maybe. And but there isn't, so we're just going to use ascension. But the process starts here, and this is a gift. This silence is a gift. This isolation is a ground zero to begin the process of becoming that which we are all supposed to become. It's a huge, precious gift. And is that how, are you feeling any of this in your own work? Is this resonating at all for you?
Yeah, of course, and beautifully, eloquently you deliver your message, through your personality and who you are, which is exactly why we invited you on the show, so because you're so good at what you do. And they will say that on an energy level, the lungs, which is supposedly what this virus, attacks, is all about grieving. The lungs are grief. Okay, so any person that, dies from lung-related stuff is usually grieving something, in their life. And we're all, like you said, grieving. Okay, so of course this is interesting that this is kind of the tactic on a, like you said, a three-dimensional paradigm, look. And the quiet and the stillness is like the whole world is at a silent retreat, right? Where the initiative is to go inward and do that work. Those really serious workshops that you travel to, and for a certain period of time, everybody's kind of isolated from their normal lives, and they're able to go inward. And that is, I think, like you were saying, really terrifying for people. People don't want to see themselves. They readily will see everybody else and criticize everybody else and be able to tell you, what's missing or what's lacking, in everybody else. But that mirror in front of us is terrifying, for some people. And like you said, they're going to try to find some form of distraction in their zone. And then that's going to come down, and they're going to finally utilize the opportunity, to go inward and see who they are. We also were talking about, this is the primal fear showcasing itself, which is survival. Okay, that survival instincts, which is that baseline fear component that humans seem to captivate when they come into, or we should say souls, when they insert themselves into a physical experience. There's that baseline level of consciousness, which is survival. And this is an opportunity for everybody to get out of that, to leave that behind, okay, to leave their basic baseline fear, conquer it, finally get rid of it. Many people think they've gotten rid of it until you're thrown or thrust into, and we've seen the behavior on it, but now I think we're starting to see a little bit of that residual effect is dissolving down. Some of the compassion is starting to come out, some of the deeper understandings. And yeah, it's an extremely interesting process. We were talking about how everybody's been talking about this year 2020, right? And all that energy opportunity for massive consciousness shift, but we weren't sure we were just going to get this rug yanked out, you know, from underneath us. And everybody's like, oh God, you know, what did we ask for? So Alexa, what are you telling your students, you know, and the people that you're talking to and all the teachings and stuff that you do on, you know, ways to really handle this? Are you having that conversation with them?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, first of all, there's a phenomenon too among teachers that I've been speaking to a lot of teachers too, because they're kind of having these catalytic moments. And those of us who are, I call them flyers, people who tend to be more cosmic and not so grounded on the earth, we are being grounded to the planet in order to arc the energies and create more of a gateway. So if you are more of a flyer, even if you're not a teacher and you're just more prone to enjoy the cosmic aspect, and Earth, not so much, it's not my favorite place, I really like that, not anymore. You are being stretched and grounded and anchored to the planet in order to arc those energies for the ascension event, because Gaia is a living being. And she has already decided, that's it, I'm out. With or without people, I am going to do this process. But certain people volunteered to be here and act as antennae, correct? And kind of like an acupuncture needle, when it goes, it amplifies, when it's put in the body, it amplifies meridians. Well, this is what certain consciousnesses agreed to do. So if you fly, you're going to be grounded in order to stretch all of your energies and pulse them from the cosmos to Gaia, down to her core and back out. So it's kind of this amplification effect. Now, if you are more grounded in your visions and your work, and you're more of a 3D light worker, and you're not so much a flyer, the opposite effect is going to happen. So all of your fractals, all of your multidimensional existences are being kind of hooked up. So it's a little disconcerting. All of a sudden people are going, well, wait a minute, I'm starting to have all these visions, I'm starting to have these experiences, and I never had before. And that's a whole new experience for them that it takes some getting used to. Now, as far as clients and people who are working through activations, well, this is another interesting phenomenon I'm having, because I'm having people call me and I'm working with people who traditionally would never, ever have contact. And it's very jarring for them. And I'm having to take baby steps with people who are just fresh out of the gate. Like I'm going to use that very 3D experiencer to all the way to our very high end, very like our masterclass PhD person who's used to it. The entire range is having experiences. They're having contact with their higher fractals. They're having ET contact. They're having energetic vortex contact. And no longer is it contained to just those who are prepared and ready. It's everyone. So all of a sudden I'm kind of being stretched and go, okay, now I have to break up my practice into all sorts of little sound bites and ability to kind of ease people into this where I never had to before, because our audiences are pretty specialized. People come because that's what they know, but now everyone is reaching out, and it crosses the barrier of education, interest. It's not polarized anymore. So that's a challenge to practitioners now, because you really have to distill that message and be very sensitive to people's religion, their background, because they carry with them a lot of triggers, a lot of their own preconceived sensitivities that you have to work around a little bit, because it's just not, it's a new playing field. This is a whole new thing, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, because consciousnesses are being widened and released, and it is through this lens of grief. So there's a high level of compassion and empathy that we need to use when we approach this, and It is truly beautiful, but I'm going to go back to the ability to recognize people in 3, 4, 5, and 6D, and that takes some doing. But to know that each one of these people, no matter where they lie, even 3, 4, 5, or 6, everything they believe is true. Every reality they want is going to be made manifest, and there is no judgment on any of it. Whatever they think is going to happen is going to happen. Because as you know, we are creating a reality every moment. And that's hard for some of my students to understand that, they'll come to me and be like, but this is happening and this person said this and that can't be true. And I said, well, it's true because they are God and they're creating that reality and that's their reality. If you are a 3D individual and this is your reality, well, yes. And then they all say, well, how can it be yes? The answer is yes. This is that new energy that we're stepping into, and there are no hard and fast rules because it doesn't look like 3D anymore. We're not in 3D anymore. So,
and of course, as you know, we support the same theory that you are God, and we are creating our own experience, and that truth is the way something feels to you. So all truth is, and what is it that you choose to know as your truth? We can, and so many people don't realize that your reality is your choice. They don't understand that. They've run from their power. They think everything is done to them instead of done for them through their own creative process. And to be able to convey these messages to those people is even that first level up of, like you said, the 3D, or you're starting to see that there's a lot of empowering opportunity here. We had a guest on recently that referred to all of this as sliding into fuzzy physics for everybody, instead of those hardline things, which I really, really loved that comment,
That's great. Yeah. Well, and there's some teachers who are wonderful. Like we've got Michael Tellinger's Ubuntu movement, which is, we're moving away from global community. We realize how vulnerable I think we were. And it's the positive aspects are we're leaning more toward one another. I feel more positivity. Like I walk outside, there are people smiling, there are people waving, there's much more heart-centeredness. And I think we're understanding how much we need each other and how much we rely upon each other. And there's that love. And I mean, that makes me want to weep right now just saying it. It's like, oh, I feel the emotion coming through. And there's that positivity, but which brings us back to the whole point of ascension. And this is what I teach all the time. Ascension is the art of descension. It's not it's not forcing your consciousness up and out. It's actually downloading consciousness into this beautiful skin suit, this biomechanical skin suit that we chose, because it took so much energy to make our consciousness available in this skin suit. We had to go through all these layers, ether, fire, air, water, earth, to make ourselves here and to get our consciousness in it. So why are people pushing it out? We have to anchor this consciousness so that we can amplify it outward and become that anchor for that cosmic energy so that we can hold it on the planet and we can help her ascend and be a part of this energy. We all chose to be here at this time, and there is no accident. So as we bring more consciousness in, guess what happens? Our frequency goes up. So it's like this diametrically opposed event that happens. So if we push our consciousness up and out, our frequency goes down. We don't want to be walking around like zombies. We've got to bring more in. And this is what that vortex is offering us. That stillness, that energy, that time warp that surrounds us. It's an entry level to bring more of who we are, our fractals. And again, I'm getting into that fuzzy physics thing where this is what I teach. My stuff is really for 5 and 6D people, which who are interested in learning how to download more of their own energy, like faces of a diamond. We have that many realities. that belong to us that are just knocking on that invisible door right here going, hey, can we come in? But guess what? You have to heal some things. It doesn't come in unless the frequency is going to let us come in. So there's that important aspect about just peeling open your heart and saying, okay, what do I need to look at? Where are the parts of me that are holding just clogs of energy, the grief, the sadness, the unhealed aspects that I just need to move out of the way, transmute, integrate into my 3D system in order for me to become a 4D system or a 5D and go up that ladder. But again, you can be that higher energetic dimensional being and still be tethered by one tether, by grief over here or over there. I mean, I myself write about this and about being who I am, a 6-dimensional energy collective, embodied, but tethered by grief for 30 years. And it took me up until February of this year to let go of that one tether. And you can get held down by one thing, but then it's all purposeful. We have to know that we ourselves chose our path and our journey. And this is what gets me in a lot of hot water with my audiences sometimes, because they'll go, wait a minute, I didn't pick this, I didn't pick this, and I didn't pick this, and I didn't pick this family or this mother or this situation. And I'll say, guess what? You did. You better believe you did. And they have a lot of trouble understanding that some of the situations, and I call it catalyst because it is, you chose it specifically for your knowledge and your learning and your ability to slingshot out of that situation and learn and become this beautiful consciousness. It's like a badge you get to wear when you're here. You go, yes, I got the badge, I got the jacket. I'm here for the ascension moment. And only because you knew that you could do it did you choose it.
It's the ultimate quintessential members only jacket, right?
Members, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, I had a gray one, I loved it. Oh my gosh, yes. Love it. Yes. So this is a very, very exciting time. And mainly for all the people out there who are feeling guilt over feeling all the love that's pouring in the planet and all the joy. I just want to say you have permission to feel the love, but also let's look at letting go of that guilt, because we need you. We need you to feel the love and pour it, because the love is the highest frequency, and that's what's going to help anchor all of this new paradigm. And for the others feeling the fear, we need to help them get into their space. So.
Interesting too, like you were saying, I can relate to where your teachings have been on an extremely high level. Julius's teachings have been that same way, and over the years we had been literally asked to dummy up our teachings in order to appeal to a broader audience. Agents and stuff had told us, and we were like, no, I can't do that. I mean, we're just going to hit a particular audience, and that's the way it's going to be. And I know it's been that way for you and the beings that you channel and interact with and stuff, because they're in that same level of consciousness. But we get to find our way now to reach the more entry level state of awareness conscious beings that are starting to wake up out of that third dimensional chokehold, that they've been in. The difference is, I think, what's really great about perceived tragedy is it can catapult you into that next level. It sometimes is your only option. You're like, I'm either going to wallow in this stuff, or I'm going to start expanding myself and expanding my mind. We used to always say the reason that people go on a spiritual journey is because nothing else is working in their lives to fix their stuff. They've tried everything else, and now they're like, okay, they're finally standing in Barnes and Noble in this section, right, going, let's see which book should I start with. And half of the book they're going, I have no idea what they're talking about, or I just can't see that this is true. But something keeps pulling them in, and they pick up that next book. So, this is kind of that time too. I can either stay in this extreme limitation of fear, misery, guilt, judgment, grief, or I can climb on that boat that has come by, to kind of rescue me. And for teachers like yourself to be able to also experience your broader component. I think I can go down. I'm going to have to reach down a little bit farther than I normally have and pull these people up. I'm up here, but I'm going to pull them down. It's a great transition time for all of us too, to spread our pizza dough out, a little bit more. And like you said, have the patience for where their belief systems are, because they've got them, and nurture their way into expansiveness. We've always said, and I think that you probably will agree to this, that human beings, I'm going to support that that's a light being that's lost sight of itself and identifies itself as a human, is afraid of either death or how powerful they are. Because if you're really powerful, you have no excuse. Excuses just, release so many things. And now is that opportunity, like when you, Alexa, speak to an audience and you're telling everybody that they are choosing all of those things that they think has happened to them, and they get angry about that at first, but then they realize that that's the power for them because they can choose differently.
That's one of the hardest pills that I have to deliver. And yeah, it is. Because we, like you said about the human being a light being who forgot that they are all powerful. Giving the power away to the system is one of the things that I keep circling back to and saying, everything that shows up in your life is a reflection of what you have created or what you need to take in and integrate. So that's the hard thing to understand when things are happening that are not what you want. And so when I'm dealing now with what I call people in a 3 or a 4D reality, and they're getting angry or upset, and it's a challenge to go, okay, wait, let's stop. Let's not externalize this. You are not separate from anything. And it's really that right there. They feel separate. They've lost the unifying force. And I find myself in tears most of the time with these conversations. Like, I don't understand. And I'm having to relearn how I communicate. So it's been a catalyst for me as well. Because it is hard for me. I am having a challenge understanding how to best reach and serve this group. It's a challenge.
And it's not good or bad, but it just is. It's just broader. It's just expansiveness, for all of us. How do you, Alexa, feel since you're in Texas? Brad and I personally love Texas. You know that we do. What is the energy like there? I know we're in Utah. Utah has its own energy completely away from the whole United States. We've always affectionately said that Utah is barely coming into the 20th century, let alone the 21st century. So Utah feels energetically more relaxed at this time. People are out hiking, they're out four-wheeling, there's still a margin of allowance. It's not in energetic or literal complete lockdown like it is in some of the other states. How are things feeling, would you say, kind of in Texas for everybody right now?
Well, Texas, and especially my area in Central Texas, we're one of the most active COVID areas in the country, and it's a ghost town. Everything is shut down. We are in stay in shelter mode. But I will say that the energetically, it is incredibly, from my perspective, very positive. There's this loving energy. Everyone seems to be supporting. Everyone I talk to is helping each other. It is odd though. I mean, it's like a Sunday afternoon during a holiday weekend. There's no one out, but community-wise, everyone is supporting businesses by doing what they can, to help the ones who are open. It is unusual, but I feel a sense of surrender here. Amidst, there's always that group that isn't doing what they need to be doing. I see golf courses full and stuff, and I'm going, "What? That's crazy," but whatever. There's definitely a stillness. It's very interesting. The vortex, though, I keep going back to this quality in the air, and last week I was doing some exercise and I was hit by this interdimensional energy. And normally it's just doesn't come out of the blue for me. I mean, not in this intense way. This was like a 1000x to what I'm used to encountering just haphazardly. And it literally stopped me in my tracks as I was moving. And it was a multidimensional experience. It was as if the energy had a velocity to it, a timbre and an amplification, and like liquid plasmic energy. And everything got really bright, but everything around me was intense. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, not accurately, but it's a cross section. It was like a fountain of energy pouring in, the viscosity that gives amplitude and light and energy and life to the planet. It was flooding in, and I felt like I was walking right through it. And last summer, I talk about timelines dissolving, that we were being asked to choose which timeline we were going to ride. And I remember having this urgency about it and writing about it and talking about it and trying to tell as many people. And no one really paid much attention to me as far as I could tell. And what I understood is it's this energy now. It's what we're experiencing now. And as you know, in the quantum field, it's fluid. There's no date time stamp in the quantum field. And I kept thinking, what's happening? There was nothing that happened after that. Well, this is what this was. And we are being asked to choose where we're going to ride on this event. And so what I translate that to is, what's your choice moving forward? How are you going to move forward? Because yesterday is gone. And that's what I understand. Energetically, physically, timeline, that is gone. And now we have to co-create a new reality. So are we going to do it through the lens of denial, of grief, of fear, of whatever you choose? Or are you going to do it in a place where you can look at your life fully, face it, and say, okay, what now? Like, what is it going to be? And if you can do it in a place of somewhat of excitement or joy or neutrality, pick neutrality. But whatever you face, it's going to be wrapped up in a package of that energy. So we have to be very careful on how we move forward, because that's going to be it. Moving forward, wrapped up, however you put it.
Well, I love having conversations with you. Your energy is very soothing and very calming for everybody. So thank you for being here in this lifetime, in this time space with all of us. Thanks for coming in this time around at the timing that you did, because I have the honor to share that same timeline with you. So thank you so much for that. Alexa, please tell everybody how to get a little bit more of you. I'm sure they're going to want to do that. Let's speak for a moment, please, about your website, some of the platforms that you're on, and how people can contact you, please.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. Such a delight, especially now. Thank you. And if you are interested in finding me, your audience, that is, it's alexaperson.com is my website. That's ALEXAPERSON.com. And I am on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and all my socials are there. You just follow the Linktree link at the top and you can find me. I'm also going to be at different conferences. All of them have been canceled, obviously. I think the next one may be in October. Who knows? We'll just kind of take that one day at a time. So, and my books are on Amazon, so you can find me through my website there.
Excellent. Yeah, Alexa has different books for you to get a hold of and read. They're great reads. She's an incredible author as well, and she's an incredible speaker. We have had the pleasure of being connected with her at different events, and so if you get the chance to get out live to her events, please do that, because that's a whole nother level of an experience with her. We here at Xpnsion Network are sending all of you love and extraordinary and support in the discovery of yourself, the unleashment of yourself. Again, bringing to you the truth and the knowing that we are unified on our quest to be more than what we have ever thought ourselves to be. Love and cherish each other. Please show each other the same honor and respect that you deserve for your own self. And through this moment of now and the timeline ahead of us, we will be here with you on Xpnsion Network, assisting you in your journey of consciousness and broader-minded aspects. I'm Casey Wallace, and I will talk with you next time with our next extraordinary guest. Thanks for being with us.